Hello there. Welcome to Scenario 100, where every story begins with 100. Today we spend 100 days in a world where everyone can read minds. Day 15, the first wave of chaos. Day 1, the noise begins. I woke up today and the world wasn't silent anymore, not in the way it used to be. As I opened my eyes, I didn't just hear the faint sounds of the street outside. I heard thoughts. A flood of unfiltered voices, whispers, images, and feelings that weren't mine. At first, I thought I was losing my mind until I realized the neighbor next door was thinking about burning their toast in a few seconds. Later, I smelled it. When I stepped outside, it was as if the entire city had turned into a chaotic radio station, every mind broadcasting on full volume. People were staring at each other, not because they were curious, but because they knew. Every insecurity, every secret, every desire exposed. I could tell the woman at the bus stop hated her job. The old man across the street missed his late wife, and the teenager walking past me thought I looked tired. And the worst part, they all knew what I was thinking, too. Day 2. Social collapse in miniature. Today I tried going to a cafe. Big mistake. The moment I walked in, it felt like stepping into a swarm of bees. But instead of buzzing, it was human thought. People were trying not to think about embarrassing things, which ironically only made those thoughts louder. A barista was internally screaming that he hated his boss. A couple at the corner table silently argued in their heads while smiling at each other. I tried to focus my mind to keep my thoughts neutral, but it's almost impossible. The moment I thought, "Don't think about how much this scares me," the whole cafe turned to look at me. It's not just reading thoughts anymore. It's a war of mental exposure. Privacy as a concept has evaporated overnight. Day 3, home isn't safe. Either I thought maybe home would be better. It isn't. My parents can hear me thinking, "I'm overwhelmed." I can hear them worrying about bills, about the world falling apart, about whether they can keep pretending everything's fine. No one can lie anymore. Every single tension that once stayed beneath the surface is raw and exposed. Dinner was silent, but not really. The room was loud with everyone's unspoken words, and the scariest part, even when I tried to put up some kind of mental wall, it was thin. People can push through sometimes, unintentionally. Day 4. The unfiltered school. I went to school today, or at least I tried. Teachers could tell who hadn't done their homework before anyone even spoke. Students knew who liked who hated who envied who. It was like standing naked in a crowded room, not physically but mentally. One of my classmates, Mia, looked at me, and without speaking, I knew she had a crush on me. And at the same time, she knew that I knew. I felt my face heat up as her thoughts echoed. "Oh, God!" He heard that. The whole class picked it up like ripples in water. Embarrassment has become contagious.
Day 5, the first adaptations.
Today, something strange happened. Amid all the noise, I started noticing patterns. Thoughts aren't just random chaos. They have rhythms. Emotions color them, shape them. I experimented with focusing on my breathing, and for the first time, I managed to lower the volume slightly. A few others seem to be doing the same. People are beginning to figure out how to mentally whisper instead of shout. It's clumsy and imperfect, but it's a start. Still, I can't shake the feeling that this is just the beginning of something much bigger and much darker. The mind was once a private room. Now it's a glass house. Day 610 cracks in. The mind's mirror. Day 6. Whispering thoughts. The world feels different today. Not quieter exactly, but less chaotic. People are slowly learning to whisper in their heads, to compress their thoughts, the way you might lower your voice in a crowded room. It's awkward and takes effort, but it works. I managed to hold a full 5-minute conversation with someone without accidentally hearing the entire emotional soundtrack behind their words. But not everyone is coping. Some people are breaking. On the way to school, I passed a man sitting on the curb covering his ears, even though there was nothing. To hear his mind was screaming, leaking fear into everyone nearby. A police officer, or maybe just someone pretending to be calm, was trying to project soothing thoughts, but it was like trying to stop a storm with an umbrella. Day 7, Emotional Contagion. I learned something terrifying today. Emotions are like a virus now. A girl in my class had a panic attack during a history lesson. Within minutes, half the room was trembling, breathless hearts racing. One person's fear became everyone's fear. It made me realize this world isn't just about hearing thoughts, it's about feeling each other. One unstable mind can shake an entire crowd. If someone laughs, the room brightens. If someone despairs, it spreads like smoke in a sealed space. Day 8, Secrets are dead. I tried to keep a secret today, a small one. I saw Mia in the hallway, and when our eyes met, her feelings rushed toward me like a warm current. I felt her heartbeat without touching her. And then, before I could even process it, she heard my thoughts. I like her too. I didn't mean to broadcast it, but it slipped. It's impossible to hide emotions. You don't fully control. We both froze, surrounded by a hallway of students picking up the echo. For the first time, I realized relationships in this world won't be built on what we say, but on what we can't help but think. Day 9, the first silent zone. Something new appeared today. Silent zones. A group of students found a way to create small mental bubbles where collective focus dampens the noise. It's like meditation, but synchronized. I joined them during lunch, and for a moment I felt peace. Inside that zone, thoughts became soft, like whispers under a blanket. Emotions were still there, but gentle, manageable. If enough people can do this, maybe society won't collapse after all. Or maybe it'll turn into something entirely new. Day 10. Thought again. My mom thought maybe that's not a bad thing. I heard them. They heard me. There was no lying, no posturing, just raw honesty. And surprisingly, it felt good. Heavy but good. For the first time in days, I wasn't hiding. None of us were. The old world was built on words and masks. This new world, it's built on transparency, for better or worse. Secrets die. Walls fall. What remains is the naked truth. Day 11-5. The birth of mental kingdoms. Day 11. The formation of echo circles. It started small, 5 or 6 people in a quiet classroom after hours. But now groups like these are appearing everywhere, people clustering together because their minds resonate. They call themselves echo circles. I joined one today. It's not about friendship anymore. It's about mental harmony. When everyone in the circle holds similar emotional frequencies, the noise calms. Our echo circle focuses on curiosity and calm. It's strange when I step inside, my mind quiets down like stepping into warm water. But outside, chaos circles are beginning to compete for members. People don't just want to belong anymore, they need it to stay sane. Therese order, there's always an edge. Some people can't find an echo circle. Their thoughts are jagged, angry, unstable. No one wants them inside the calm. I passed a group of them today behind the school, clustered like strays, their minds buzzed with resentment. And here's the terrifying part: when too many outcasts are near each other, their chaos amplifies. It's like feedback in a speaker, a mental shriek. I could feel it burning behind my eyes even from a distance. Someone will have to deal with this eventually, because this isn't just a society with no secrets anymore. It's a society dividing along invisible mental frequencies. Day 13. Mindstorms. Today, I experienced something new, a mindstorm. An argument broke out between two echo circles near the library. Their emotional frequencies clashed like opposing weather fronts. Fear met anger, anxiety met aggression, and suddenly everyone in a 50-meter radius was overwhelmed. My head felt like it was being ripped open. People dropped to their knees screaming without making a sound. This is what war might look like now. Not with guns or bombs, but with emotions colliding. If this grows larger, cities could burn from the inside out without a single word spoken. Day 14. The Calm Keepers. A new role is emerging. Calm Keepers. They're people with exceptional control over their emotions, able to project stability into chaotic zones. One of them, a quiet girl named Leanne, came to our Echo Circle meeting today. Her presence felt like gravity pulling us together, quieting the noise. She explained something chilling. The government is already recruiting calm keepers. If emotions are the new battlefield, these people are soldiers, or worse, rulers. I can't stop thinking who gets to decide which emotions are right. Day 15. Mental Kingdoms. Echo circles are evolving fast. Are merging into larger alliances, mental kingdoms. People are choosing where to live and work based on whose emotional frequencies match theirs. Streets are turning into invisible borders between joy, anger, calm, and despair. Our group joined a growing calm kingdom. It's safe here, peaceful. But as I walked home, I passed through another territory. The air was heavy, full of anger and resentment. It was like walking through a thunderstorm without rain. The world isn't a shared space anymore. It's a mosaic of minds. First came whispers, then came storms. Now nations are born not on land, but in Thought. Day 16. Rise of the Silent Empires. Day 16. The first mental laws. Governments used to make laws to control behavior. Now they're making them to control thought flow. Today, our calm kingdom posted its first official mental code. No anger spikes above 30 allowed. No prolonged intrusive thought loops. Anyone who disrupts harmony gets mind muted, a kind of collective block where everyone shuts them out at once. It's not prison, but it feels worse. Silence. It's strange in this world. Punishment isn't what happens to your body. It's what happens to your voice inside your head. I watched someone get muted today for an outburst of grief. No one even looked at him. Just silence. "17. Thought. Smugglers. Where there are rules, there are rebels. I met a group called the Nullers. They hide rogue thoughts in encrypted layers, masking their emotions to blend in. One of them showed me how to create mental static, a personal shield that scrambles surface thoughts. It's dangerous but thrilling. For a moment, no one could hear me. My mind was mine again. People are starting to smuggle ideas across mental borders. It's the new black market. Love, hate, fear, rebellion, packaged in whispers behind closed minds. Day 18. Love under the noise. I didn't expect love to survive in a world like this. How do you love when there's no mystery left? But then there's her. Every time I brush past her mind, it's soft like standing in sunlight. She can hear everything I think about her, and she doesn't run. Instead, she answers back in feeling, no words, just a quiet, warm echo. We walked together today without speaking. Our thoughts blended, not perfectly, but enough to make the world fade out. I don't know if this is love, in the old sense, but it feels realer than anything I've ever known. Day 19, Thought Wars begin. Two mental kingdoms collided today, not physically, mentally. The joy kingdom tried to expand its territory into the angry domain. The clash lasted only 6 minutes, but that was enough. People fainted. Some went into mental shock. No buildings were touched, but entire blocks had to be evacuated. This is war, now invisible, silent, but catastrophic. A single clash can break thousands. Calm keepers tried to intervene, but even they couldn't stop it fast enough. The world is learning what happens when emotion becomes a weapon. Day 20. A kingdom-divided tension is growing even inside our calm kingdom. Some want tighter rules, others want more freedom. I can hear it, the cracks in everyone's thoughts. Leanne, our calm keeper, confessed to me today she's scared. Peace is fragile, she said. It's not built on silence. It's built on control, and control always breaks. For the first time since this all began, I felt something new spreading through the group. Fear. Not the loud kind, the quiet sinking kind, the kind that changes everything. They said if we could hear each other, we'd understand each other. They were wrong. Understanding doesn't always bring peace. Sometimes it brings war. Day 2115. Whispers of Rebellion. Day 21. The storm behind smiles. The calm kingdom still looks peaceful on the surface. People walk, trade, smile. But beneath the surface, it's chaos. I can hear their thoughts tremble. They smile at each other while screaming inside. I spent most of today walking through the marketplace. Vendors projected soft, pleasant thoughts to attract customers, a warm, fake calm, but I also heard hidden streams, encrypted whispers beneath their mental broadcasts. Rebellion is brewing. Leon pulled me aside. You can feel it too, right? She said without speaking. Just a pulse in my mind.
Yes, I can. Something's coming.
Day 22. The Nuller's Message. At night, I was approached by the Nullers again. They didn't speak. They didn't have to. Their thoughts cut through the noise like a clear signal. They've built something new, a place outside the mental kingdoms, a mental blackout zone. No thoughts shared, no voices, just silence, true, raw silence. They call it the Hollow. I stood at its edge for the first time today. As soon as I crossed the border, everything went quiet. Numbo, minds, no emotions, just me. For the first time since this began, I couldn't hear anyone else. It was terrifying. It was beautiful. Day 23. Echoes of the Hollow. The Hollow is growing. People are abandoning their kingdoms to live in silence. Calm. Kingdom leaders are panicking, not out loud, but in a mental chorus of fear. Inside the Hollow, no one knows what anyone else thinks, and strangely, that makes them trust more carefully. Conversations are real again. Every word matters. Every touch, every look carries weight. I met someone there. Kale. He didn't know my thoughts. I didn't know his. When we laughed, it was because something was truly funny, not because we felt each other's amusement in advance. It felt human. Day 24. Hundreds of minds collided in a brutal silence. Not a battle of thoughts, but the absence of them. The calm keepers couldn't handle not hearing anything. They panicked, shouted, broke formation. For the first time, silence defeated control. Leanne looked at me through the chaos. "You have to choose her mind." Whispered, "Stay with the kingdom or follow them." Day 25, my choice. I stood at the edge of the hollow again at sunrise. Behind me, a world of endless thoughts rules mental kingdoms and silent wars. Ahead, uncertainty. I stepped forward as the last mental voice faded away. The world became eerily quiet. My own heartbeat was louder than anything. And in that silence I realized how addicted I'd become to the noise. Cale was waiting. He smiled a real smile, not one built from shared emotions. This isn't peace. Not yet. But it's something different, something new. When everyone can hear each other, silence becomes rebellion. Day 2630. The birth of the Hollow Society. Day 26. First laws of silence. Life in the hollow is strange but grounding. People speak softly, carefully, because words are the only way to connect now. No one can sense emotions or predict intentions anymore, and that makes trust precious. The Nullers gathered us all this morning to lay down the first laws of silence. No telepathic interference is allowed. Spoken agreements hold more weight than shared memories. Everyone must contribute to survival. It's raw and primitive, but it's real. KL asked me, how long do you think it'll last before the kingdoms retaliate? I didn't answer, but I felt the tension in the air, not through minds, just through silence. Day 27. A world without eavesdropping. In the kingdoms, relationships were built on shared emotions. Here they're built on uncertainty. People look into each other's eyes to guess what's going on. And strangely, this uncertainty makes bonds stronger. I helped build new shelters today with KL and a few others. Without mind reading, coordination takes longer, but mistakes are met with patience rather than fear. People have to listen. Later, around the fire, someone joked that love in the hollow is dangerous because if you fall for someone, they can't read your mind and you can't read theirs. You actually have to talk. Day 28. The first spy. Today, everything changed. A woman was caught at the edge of the hollow with an active mental transmitter. She was leaking information to the Calm Kingdom. Panic spread through camp. For the first time since coming here, the silence didn't feel peaceful. It felt paranoid. The Nullers debated what to do. Some wanted to exile her, others something worse. No one could know if she was truly guilty. They couldn't read her mind. We ended up banishing her at sundown. Her scream echoed into the night, sharp and lonely. This is what freedom costs. Day 29. The Calm Kingdom moves. Scouts returned at dawn. They saw the Calm Kingdom assembling forces, not soldiers with guns, but mental networks. Massive telepathic nodes being activated. The Hollow has become more than a rebellion. It's a threat to the very foundation of their world. Cale and I spent the afternoon reinforcing the borders with disruptors, devices that create a permanent telepathic blackout around us. We know they're coming. It's just a matter of when. As the sun set, a faint buzz filled the night air. The Calm Keepers are getting closer. Day 30. The war of minds and silence begins. It started with whispers, actual spoken whispers in the dark. The Calm Kingdom launched a silent offensive, their telepaths surrounded. The hollow flooding the borders with mental noise. My head felt like it was splitting in two. The Nullers' disruptors held for a while, but not forever. I could hear fragments of thoughts pushing through the blackout. Surrender, come back, silence is dangerous. We held the line, shouting commands, running through the darkness, defending the only place where minds can be free from the constant noise. When the first disruptor failed, Cale grabbed my hand and shouted, "They're not just after land, they're after silence itself. This isn't just survival anymore. This is war. When silence threatens power, power will Try to silence silence. Day 335. The Siege of the Hollow Day 3-1. Not with bullets, but with thoughts. Billions of overlapping voices crashing into our blackout field. It felt pain, but because of the noise. Every thought trying to invade our silence carried commands, temptations, and guilt. The kingdom wasn't just trying to destroy us. It wanted to remind us of what we'd given up. KL shouted over the chaos. If they break through, don't. Listen, whatever happens, don't. Listen. The nullers are patching disruptors, welding cables, burning their fingers to keep the silence alive. The air smells like iron and ozone. I can't tell anymore if my own thoughts are quiet or just lost among the noise. Day 32. The collapse of the barrier. At noon, one side. All the blackout field failed. A storm of minds broke in. Instantly, I could hear again not voices but intentions. Soldiers thinking about where to strike, commanders transmitting telepathic strategies. For a brief moment, I used their own network against them. I shouted to the others where to move, when to strike. It worked, but the moment I opened my mind, I also felt them inside me. 1,000 judgments, 1,000 accusations, traitor, nuller, noisemaker. By nightfall, we sealed the breach, but something inside me stayed open. I can still hear faint whispers, echoes of the calm kingdom leaking into my skull like water through cracked glass. Day 33. The fallen quiet. Half the hollow burned today. Flames cut through the night, and without mind links, coordination is chaos. People run in circles, shouting names, unsure if anyone hears them. Leon arrived. I don't know how she crossed the border. Her eyes were wide, her voice trembling. "You can't win," she said softly. "They don't care about you. They just want the silence erased." I wanted to tell her she was wrong, but I couldn't. Deep down, I knew she was right. The Hollow isn't a threat because it's violent. It's a threat because it proves there's another way to exist. Kale's building new barriers. I'm helping him. But part of me wonders if this place can survive another day. Day 34. Ghost frequency. Something new happened tonight. The Calm Kingdom's telepaths tried a different kind of attack, not overwhelming. Noise, but seduction. They transmitted memories, beautiful ones, the smell of rain, the warmth of family, the comfort of being known completely. It's a trap, but it works. I saw people walk straight out of the hollow and into the storm of minds, tears streaming down their faces. Kale almost went too. I grabbed his wrist, whispered, "Don't let them own your peace." He stayed. Barely. By midnight, the transmission stopped. The silence afterward was heavy, fragile, and full of ghosts. We've lost half the hollow, but those who remain, they've changed. They speak softly, move carefully, and when they look at each other, there's something sacred in the quiet. I asked Kale what we do now. He said, "We rebuild, but smarter. Maybe silence isn't meant to replace thought. Maybe it's meant to balance it." For the first time in weeks, I stepped beyond the blackout zone just far enough to feel the world's hum again. This time I didn't recoil, I just listened. A few distant minds whispered, but none dared to cross. Maybe this is what evolution sounds like, not silence or noise, but harmony. When every mind is loud, wisdom begins in a whisper. Day 3640. The hybrid mind. Day 36. Rebuilding the quiet. The hollow is a scarred place. Now burnt shelters cracked, disruptors ash on the wind. But beneath the wreckage, people are calm. Not. Broken Kale and I joined the rebuilding teams at dawn. Therese, no telepathic link to coordinate, so everything takes longer. But every nail we hammer, every pole we raise feels deliberate. Like silence itself is teaching us patience. Leanne came back too. She left the calm kingdom. She stood in front of me, her voice shaking. "I want to feel what's real," she said. I didn't need to read her mind to know she meant it. The first step of rebuilding isn't walls. The Whisper Network. Today, 37. The Whisper Network. Today, the Nullers propose something new, a selective telepathic system. Not forced, not constant, voluntary, a kind of mental radio that can be turned on or off. At first, people were skeptical. Telepathy was the chain we broke free from. But KL argued, it's not the tool, that's the enemy. It's the way it was used. We tested the Whisper Network on a small scale, linking 3 people together, briefly. No intrusion, no flood of emotions, just a quiet connection like tapping someone on the shoulder without touching them. I felt Leanne's presence for a second. Not her entire soul, just a simple pulse. It didn't scare me. Day 38. First connection. More people volunteered to try the Whisper Network. For the first time, telepathy became consensual. People had to nod, look each other in the eye, agree before linking. I connected with KL this afternoon. His mind didn't rush into mine like a storm. It was like dipping a toe into a river. Smooth, controlled. We shared only what we wanted. Then, something unexpected. I felt love, not because he projected it, but because I finally chose to let it in. This new system isn't about domination. It's about choice, and choice changes everything. Day 39. The return of the calm. The calm kingdom sent envoys today. Not soldiers, diplomats. They approached the Hollow's border carefully like someone entering a wild animal's den. Their minds hovered just beyond the blackout line. One of them, a tall man with bright, clean thoughts, spoke aloud. "We don't want war, but beneath." His voice, a faint mental echo, carried another message. "We can't control you anymore, so we must learn to live with you." The Nullers didn't reply immediately. We let the silence stretch. For once, the kingdom had to wait for our answer. Day 40, the first accord, we met at the edge of the blackout zone. No weapons, no mental dominance, just words. After hours of talking, something extraordinary happened. The calm kingdom agreed to recognize the Hollow as a sovereign zone of silence. In exchange, we offered to share the Whisper Network technology, a tool they can't control, but can choose to use. Leanne squeezed my hand when the accord was signed. KL whispered, "This isn't the end. It's the beginning of a different kind of world." They stood side by side. Real freedom is not in what you can hear, but in what you can choose, not. 2. Day 445. Fragile Peace. Day 445. Fragile Peace. Day 44. The silent and the loud. The first morning after the accord felt unreal. Kingdom patrols no longer hover at the border. Number real kingdom patrols no longer hover. Buzzing waves of thought press against our skulls. Just the wind and the distant hum of a world adjusting to a new reality. But silence isn't universal. Some people in the Hollow want nothing to do with the Whisper Network. Not now, not ever. Others, especially the younger ones, are excited. They see it as the birth of a new age. Two camps have started to form inside the hollow. The purists who believe silence must remain absolute. The bridge builders who want coexistence with the kingdom. I can already feel the air getting heavier. This isn't war, but it could become. One day, 42. Old wounds. New tools. I spent the morning walking through the settlement. The purists had painted words on the wall of an old disruptor station. Silence is not negotiable. KL is part of the bridge builders. He believes silence should be a choice, not a prison. M caught between both worlds. Later in the day, a heated debate broke out in the central square. Someone activated the whisper network argument, trying to force their emotion through anger, frustration. The purists panicked, thinking it was the beginning of a takeover. Leanne stood in the middle and screamed, "We fought for freedom, not new chains." For the first time since the siege, the hollow feels divided. Day 43, the Pulse Riot. Everything snapped today. A group of purists sabotaged the central whisper hub at dawn, sending shockwaves through the network. It wasn't violent, but the sudden silence created confusion and fear. Bridge builders rushed to repair the system, shouting orders over the chaos. The calm kingdom heard about it immediately. Their diplomats arrived, asking if the hollow was unstable. I could feel the unspoken threat behind their calm words. If we fracture from within, they'll step in. Not to destroy, but to stabilize. KL told me in private. If we can't unite ourselves, we'll lose everything. Day 44. Choosing sides. I didn't want to choose a side, but today neutrality became impossible. The purists announced they would rebuild the blackout field permanently and reject the accord. The bridge builders see that as a declaration of war, not against the kingdom, but against progress. KL begged me to stand with him. "We can't just erase what we've built," he said. But Leanne surprisingly sided with the purists. "Noise always finds a way to control," she whispered. "Silence is the only real freedom." For the first time, I looked at the people I care about and realized they want different futures. Day 45. Hub. The bridge builders secured the central square, reinforcing the shared network. It's not war, not yet, but tension hangs like a blade above us. I stood between Kale and Leanne, their eyes locked like two storms about to collide. Neither of them can hear each other's thoughts anymore. This silence isn't peaceful. It's dangerous. The calm kingdom is watching closely. I can sense it even without a link. They won't stay neutral forever. When silence becomes a choice, it also becomes a weapon. Day 4650. Tension and revelation. Day 46. Echoes of division. The hollow is no longer a single community. Two distinct groups now occupy the ruins, the purists in the old disruptor sector and the bridge builders in the central square. Every step between zones is charged with suspicion. Even neutral thoughts feel invasive. I spent the day trying to mediate. Every word I spoke was analyzed. Every glance measured. Both sides are convinced that the other will betray the hollow to the calm kingdom. It's exhausting mentally and emotionally. KL whispered to me as we walked the boundary. "We need to find common ground, or this place will destroy itself before they do." Day 47. The calm kingdom observes. The kingdom hasn't intervened directly yet, but their presence is felt everywhere. Scouts patrol near the borders, their thoughts clean, calculated, intimidating. One calm keeper approached the hollow's boundary today and projected a single phrase: "Balance is optional, obedience is not." It sent a ripple of unease through both factions. The purists interpreted it as a threat. The bridge builders took it as a warning. Even though no one spoke, the tension is almost palpable. Every heartbeat is amplified, every thought hyper-aware. Day 48. Secrets in the silence. Today I discovered a hidden cache in the purists sector. Notes, sketches, and maps showing that some purists plan to reactivate old disruptors, not to communicate, but to create chaos in the hollow itself. I feel torn. On one hand, I understand their fear. The Whisper network could be used to manipulate. On the other, deliberately destabilizing the hollow could destroy the fragile peace. KL and I spend hours debating strategy. Leanne refuses to intervene. Let them learn the cost of freedom, she says. I realize for the first time that silence itself has politics. Day 49. Bonds. Tested. KL and I were caught in the middle of a confrontation. Today, a group of purists crossed the boundary to sabotage a minor Whisper hub, and a small skirmish erupted. No one was hurt physically, but mental tension ricocheted like lightning. For the first time, I felt the strain of divided loyalties. I care for both sides. I want to protect both sides, but I can't. Every choice now has consequences that extend beyond thought. KL looked at me, eyes wide. Do you realize what we're risking? I nodded silently. The answer is yes. Day 50. The turning point. The hollow stands at a crossroads. 50 days in the siege, the divisions, and the psychological weight of a world that can hear everything has pushed everyone to their limits. I spent the day walking between the two zones, trying to remind people what we fought for, freedom to choose what to share and when. By nightfall, a fragile understanding emerges. Neither side will destroy the other today. Temporary alliances form to maintain survival and protect supplies. It feels like peace, but I know better. The calm kingdom is still watching, and the hollow's internal fractures are widening. Freedom is tested not by silence, but by how we survive when the world listens to everything we think. Day 5155. Love, trust, and hidden alliances. Day 51. Or shielded our actions. Small gestures shared, glances, brief touches carry meaning. We spent hours walking along the outskirts of the hollow. No words, no telepathy, just presence. For the first time, I understood how trust can thrive in silence. Kale noticed too, and he smiled wryly. Humans adapt, even in chaos we find each other. Day 52. The secret bridge. A secret alliance forms. A small group from the purists agrees to collaborate with the bridge builders to maintain critical resources like water and power. They call it the hidden bridge. Meetings are conducted in silence or whispered telepathy. Carefully hidden from the wider factions, I participate, acting as mediator. It's risky but necessary. Survival depends on cooperation despite ideological divides. The hollow starts to feel less like two warring factions and more like a living organism with veins of compromise running through it. Day 53. Trust. I tested the Whisper network again today, but this time with someone from the purist sector. Not Leanne, not Kale, but a cautious new recruit named Mira. We linked briefly, no flood of thoughts, just intentions, mutual understanding. It's remarkable even people who once opposed the system can choose to participate selectively. Trust is fragile but possible. I can feel hope slowly trickling back into the hollow. Day 54. Personal secrets unveiled. I overheard something today, not through telepathy but through subtle observation. A young purist, barely 16, was secretly tending injured. Bridge builders risking exposure, risking banishment. It reminded me even when minds can be read, people still act from the heart. Courage is not measured by what we hide, but what we choose to reveal. Leanne and I watched quietly from a distance. No words, no thoughts transmitted, just understanding. Day 55. The hollow evolves 55 days. Into this new world, the hollow feels like a living entity. Factions still exist. Tension still lingers. But alliances, trust, and love are emerging in the cracks. KL suggested that we expand the Whisper network selectively, using it to connect critical sectors while maintaining independent zones. It's the first true attempt at a hybrid society, balancing silence with connection, freedom with collaboration. I watched the sunset from the highest ridge in the hollow mines, whispering around me. Silent or speaking, fearful or brave, alive. Even when every mind can be read, the heart remains a secret, worth protecting. Day 5660. Testing the hybrid and the calm kingdom. Day 56. The first test. The hybrid system of selective telepathy is fully operational today. Bridge builders and willing purists connect in small clusters, sharing only what they choose. I participate in the first large-scale link. Thoughts flow selectively like channels. We can turn on or off. Coordination is smoother than ever, but it requires constant vigilance. A single mistake, a stray emotion could ignite conflict. KL smiles at me across the network. It's working, but fragile. I nod. Fragile, yes, but it's progress. Day 57. A Calm Kingdom envoy, a delegation from. The Calm Kingdom arrived at the Hollow's boundary today. They spoke out loud, not telepathically requesting negotiation. I noticed something unsettling, even without forcing thoughts. Their presence radiated influence. They wanted to subtly test our hybrid system, probing for weaknesses. The Hollow leaders allowed the discussion cautiously. Leanne stayed by my side, her eyes scanning every subtle gesture. "We can survive without them," she whispered. "But maybe not forever," I replied. Day 58. Internal strain. The hybrid system is putting stress on participants. A minor breach today caused a mental feedback loop where one person's fear amplified into anxiety for the entire cluster. People panicked. Arguments erupted between purists and bridge builders. I had to intervene using both speech and controlled thought links to stabilize the situation. It was a reminder. The system is powerful, but it requires trust, discipline, and constant attention. Day 59. Negotiation begins. The Calm Kingdom. Envoys started formal talks today. They acknowledged the Hollow's sovereignty, but they also pressed for cooperation. We agreed to share limited intelligence through the hybrid system trade data, environmental monitoring, and resource management. Personal thoughts remain protected, optional for all. It's a delicate balance. Every word, every thought. Is measured. Even a single misstep could undo the fragile truce. Day 60. Reflection. 50 days in the Hollow and 60 days into this mind-reading world. I sit alone at sunset. The hybrid system holds, but barely. The Calm Kingdom is cautious. The Hollow is still fractured, but alive. Leon and KL stand with me, watching as a gentle wind carries faint whispers from the distant kingdoms. I realize something important. This world isn't just about reading minds. It's about choice, trust, and understanding. Freedom isn't in the noise. It's in the ability to decide what you hear and what you share. Even in a world where every thought can be known, the power lies in what you choose to reveal and what you choose to keep. Day 6165. Tension behind the hybrid, Day 61. Unexpected interference. The Whisper Network to measure emotional stability and compliance. At first it seemed harmless, but small waves of anxiety rippled through the hollow bridge. Builders panicked briefly. Purists accused the kingdom of spying. I spent hours calming clusters, explaining that we control what flows. But even controlled, I could feel their intrusion, a faint tickle at the edge of my mind. The hollow feels safer than ever, yet fragile as a candle flame in the wind. Day 62. Trust in question. Some of the purists are openly hostile to the hybrid network now. A small faction attempted to sever connections and destroy the main relay. Kale and I intercepted them before serious damage was done. The confrontation was tense. No words were spoken aloud, yet every intention was visible, every fear and anger palpable. I realized something vital. The network doesn't just link minds, it amplifies honesty, and honesty can hurt. Day 63. Hidden alliances. Amid the chaos, secret alliances form. A few purists quietly agree to help bridge builders maintain critical systems. They move silently, leaving no trace, yet their contributions are essential. I notice them silently nodding in acknowledgement. Its strange enemies can become allies without a single thought shared. Actions alone are enough to convey trust. This, I think, may be the key to hollow survival. Not perfection, not uniformity, but choice and subtle collaboration. Day 64. Emotional contagion returns. Even in the hybrid system, emotions are contagious. A sudden outburst of fear from one participant created ripples across multiple clusters. Panic nearly spread to an entire section of the hollow. I worked alongside Kale to stabilize everyone. Leanne coordinated, silently projecting calm like a lighthouse in the storm. It's obvious now emotional discipline is as crucial as technical control. One misstep could undo weeks of careful progress. Day 65. First victory. Despite the challenges, today feels like a milestone. The hybrid system held its first full day under kingdom observation without any major breaches. The calm kingdom noted our resilience, subtly acknowledging the hollow's sovereignty. Purists and bridge builders found a way to cooperate without compromising. Ideals. I stand atop a ridge with Kale and Leanne watching the sunset. Thoughts are quiet, hearts are steady, and for a moment I feel the hollow's first true sense of balance. The mind is a river. When allowed to flow selectively, it nourishes life rather than destroying it. Day 667. Pass. Alliance and rising threats. Day 66. The proposal. Today, the Calm Kingdom sent a formal envoy with a proposal, a limited alliance. They offered resources, knowledge, and technical support for the Hollow in exchange for participation in the hybrid system. Bridge builders welcomed it cautiously, seeing it as a chance to secure stability. Purists, however, saw it as betrayal. Leon and I debated long into the night. The lines between cooperation and compromise blurred with every argument. I realized that alliances in a world where thoughts are exposed are more delicate than in any physical war. Every choice can be felt immediately, every hesitation scrutinized. Day 67. Testing loyalty. The kingdom demanded a demonstration of loyalty. Participants would voluntarily link through the hybrid system during a controlled session. Some purists refused. Others reluctantly complied. The session went smoothly, but I could sense tension crackling beneath the calm facade. Kale whispered, Even if we survive this day, trust is still a fragile bridge. I nodded. Every bond in the hollow feels like it could snap at any second. Day 68. Silent warning. Late at night, scouts reported unusual activity along the hollow's borders. Not soldiers, but a mass of unaligned telepaths. They're not from the calm kingdom, likely rogue groups seeking to exploit hollow vulnerabilities. The hollow must prepare, but internal divisions make coordination difficult. Purists resist plans. Bridge builders push forward, and I feel like a mediator stretched too thin. Leanne stays close, her presence steady, but I see the worry in her eyes. Even love cannot eliminate the fear of what's coming. Day 69. The first skirmish. At dawn, rogue telepaths approached the boundary. No physical weapons, just raw psychic energy. The hollow responded using the hybrid network, selectively blocking intrusions, projecting calm, and defending our perimeters. It's a battle fought in silence, yet the stakes are as high as any war. The hollow survived, but cracks appear. The purists are furious that we defended ourselves using hybrid links. They accuse bridge builders of abandoning principles. I realize that even victory can be dangerous when trust is fragile. Day 70. Choosing the future. By evening, the hollow gathers to reassess. The calm kingdom awaits news. Rogue telepaths have retreated for now, but the hollow's internal struggle is sharper than ever. KL and I speak openly. We need a path that respects both silence and choice. Without it, the hollow cannot endure. Leanne nods silently. Her gaze sweeps across the settlement, noting walls, clusters, and silent bridges connecting people. I feel the weight of the next 30 days settling on our shoulders. In a world where thoughts are weapons, harmony is forged not in silence alone, but in the courage to choose what to hear and what to protect. Day 7175. Tensions peak and bonds are tested. The rogue telepath skirmish, I stand between them trying to calm both sides. But even my presence can't ease the tension. Every glance, every breath carries meaning now. Small gestures are magnified in this charged atmosphere. KL tries reasoning. Leanne watches silently, her eyes calculating. I realize that leadership here is as much about emotional management as strategy. Day 72. Secret alliances strengthen despite visible conflict. Secret collaborations deepen. Purists secretly repair and maintain critical systems alongside bridge builders. I witness small acts of courage, a purist passing a tool to a bridge builder unnoticed by others. These small gestures feel revolutionary actions, now speak louder than thoughts. The hollow's survival may depend more on hidden cooperation than on open agreements. Day 73. A personal test. Today, I face a challenge of trust. A rogue group approaches offering protection in exchange for me revealing the hollow's internal structure. My mind races sharing would compromise everything we've built. Refusing could provoke violence. I make my choice silently, blocking their attempts to probe my thoughts. They retreat, leaving me shaken but resolute. Even in a world of read minds, personal integrity still matters. Day 74. Emotional fallout. Fear, anger, and doubt ripple through clusters. Some refuse to link via the hybrid network, retreating into silence. Others rely on it more than ever. Kale and Leon argue quietly, not with words, but through gestures and intention. I feel torn between them, caught in the delicate balance of emotion and strategy. The hollow is alive, but the weight of responsibility presses down. Every decision, every thought, every choice shapes not just the present, but the future of this fragile society. Day 75, a fragile victory. By nightfall, the hollow holds. Rogue groups are pushed back. Internal tensions remain, but the hybrid system endures. I stand with Kale and Leanne at the edge of the settlement. Silence surrounds us, punctuated by small intentional signals. A shared glance, a touch, a nod. For the first time, I feel the hollow as a true community, imperfect, fragile, and alive. Trust is not the absence of conflict, but the courage to endure it together even when every thought is exposed. Day 780, pressure and personal bonds. Day 76, the Calm Kingdom's ultimatum. At dawn, the Calm Kingdom's envoys arrived with a stern message. They acknowledged the hollow's sovereignty, but demanded more structured participation in the hybrid system, hinting at consequences if the hollow refused. Bridge builders see opportunity. Purists see betrayal. I feel the hollow's fragile unity shaking under external pressure. KL whispers, "We can't yield too much, but we can't fight them openly." Either I nod. Every word, every thought must be calculated. Day 77, secrets shared. Today, Leanne and I found a quiet moment away from the hollow's turmoil. No words were spoken, no telepathy used. We shared secrets in the simplest way possible: gestures, glances, and trust. In a world where minds are exposed, choosing to reveal something privately feels revolutionary. I realize that even amidst chaos, personal bonds can be sanctuary. Day 78, testing the hybrid under pressure. Are visibly uncomfortable. They fear even controlled exposure could be used against us. I work to calm clusters, ensuring panic doesn't spread. For the first time, the network feels like a living entity, delicate, responsive, and unpredictable. Day 79, the hollow's unity. Internal tensions flare again, but small victories emerge. Hidden alliances expand. Purists, discreetly, assist bridge builders with maintenance and defense despite ideological differences. Kale and I coordinate defenses using both silence and selective linking. Leanne mediates disputes quietly, ensuring small sparks of conflict don't escalate. The hollow feels alive, a community that survives not because of agreement, but because of deliberate choice and shared purpose. Day 80. Reflection at sunset. I stand at the highest ridge in the hollow, with Kale and Leanne watching the sun dip below distant hills. The past 80 days have transformed everything. Minds can be read. Trust is fragile. Silence can be weaponized. Yet despite external pressure and internal division, the hollow endures. I feel a quiet hope, knowing the next 20 days will test us even further, not just against external forces, but against the human heart itself. Even when every thought is visible, it is the choices we make in silence that define who we are. Day 8185, external threats and heartfelt decisions. Day 81, the shadow approaches. Rogue telepaths have regrouped at the hollow's borders. They are larger in number and more organized than before. The hollow mobilizes using the hybrid system. Bridges are reinforced, supply lines guarded and mental. Defenses activated selectively. Kale briefs me quietly. They won't just probe this time, they'll try to break us from within. I nod, feeling the weight of responsibility. Every thought, every decision could determine the survival of our community. Day 82. Personal bonds in crisis amid the tension. Leanne and I share a brief private moment. The chaos outside sharpens the need for connection. We speak through gestures and subtle signals, unmediated by telepathy. I realize how much our bond has become a lifeline. In a world where minds are exposed, private trust is the ultimate rebellion. KL notices the moment, but says nothing. Therese understanding between us. Survival requires both strength and subtlety in relationships. Day 83. First clash. The rogue telepaths strike at dawn. Their attack is not physical, but mental floods of intrusive thoughts, emotion manipulation, and disorienting signals. The Hollow responds with hybrid-linked clusters coordinating defense and containment. I focus on isolating clusters, ensuring the purest sectors remain stable. Leanne reinforces calming measures, while Kale directs strategic countermeasures. By nightfall, the first wave is repelled, but the Hollow is drained. Every mind feels the echo of invasion, fear, anger, and determination. Day 84. A fractured choice. After the skirmish divisions intensify. Purists blame the hybrid system for vulnerability, demanding full silence. Bridge builders argue for expansion and refinement. I step between the factions, mediating it. A delicate balance. Every word and intention is scrutinized. I privately consult Leanne and Kale. Together we agree on a compromise. Certain clusters will remain strictly silent, while others use the hybrid network for defense and communication. Even with compromise, tension remains thick in the Hollow. Day 85. Calm before the storm. The day ends with a rare moment of stillness. The Hollow is battered but standing. I watch the sunset with Kale and Leanne. The rogue telepaths linger at the edge of perception, a constant threat. But within the Hollow, bonds are strengthening, alliances are solidifying, and trust, fragile, imperfect, is being rebuilt. Even in a world where minds can be invaded, it is the choice to protect, connect, and trust that defines true strength. Day 8690, the final assault. Day 86, signs of the storm. The rogue telepaths are organizing for a major strike. From the outskirts, faint waves of coordinated thought signal preparation. They are no longer random intruders. They've become an army of minds. Is palpable. Purists reinforce the blackout zones. Bridge builders optimize the hybrid network, and I help coordinate defensive measures. Every heartbeat, every glance is a signal in itself. KL whispers, "This will test everything, our unity, our trust, our choices." I nod, feeling the weight of the next few days pressing down on us. Day 87. Pre-battle strategy. We hold a full council at the central square. Each faction has a voice, purists, bridge builders, even those on the fence. The plan is simple but risky. Hybrid clusters will monitor rogue movements. Selective links allow real-time defense coordination. Blackout zones protect vulnerable sectors. Despite the plan, uncertainty hums in every mind. The calm kingdom watches from afar, their presence, a silent reminder that failure could invite their intervention. Day 88, the first wave. The rogue telepaths strike at dawn. Mental assaults flood the Hollow, intrusive thoughts, panic waves, and emotional manipulation. I lead a defensive cluster, guiding participants to filter intrusions and maintain composure. Leanne directs calming measures in purist zones, while Kale coordinates hybrid link nodes to counter attacks. The battle is not of weapons, but of willpower and mental discipline. By nightfall, the Hollow holds, but the psychological toll is immense. Day 89, bonds under fire. During a temporary lull, I witnessed something remarkable. Individuals from opposing factions risk exposure to assist each other, purists protecting hybrid link nodes, bridge builders covering blackout zones. Even amidst chaos, personal bonds and trust shine through. Leanne and Kale share a brief tense moments, silent communication that conveys understanding, reassurance, and mutual reliance. I realize that survival here depends as much on human connection as on mental strategy. Day 90. Victory through choice. The final wave begins. Rogue telepaths converge, attempting to overwhelm our defenses. Hybrid clusters function flawlessly. Purist blackout zones hold. And every member of the Hollow participates consciously. The rogue telepaths expecting chaos find disciplined resistance. Their assault collapses under the Hollow's coordinated, choice-driven defense. By nightfall, the Hollow stands victorious. Exhausted but united, we celebrate silently. Words are unnecessary. Our shared understanding and trust speak louder than any thought could. Even when the world listens to everything, it is the conscious choice to defend trust and connect that shapes destiny. Day 995. Reconstruction and reflection. Day 91. Healing the Hollow. The Hollow is scarred but alive. Burnt shelters, damaged hybrid nodes, and fractured blackout zones need repair. Today, everyone contributes. Purists rebuild blackout barriers. Bridge builders restore hybrid networks, and even neutral participants carry supplies. I work alongside KL and Leanne, reinforcing both structures and morale. For the first time in weeks, laughter surfaces, quiet, hesitant, but genuine. The Hollow is not just surviving, it's learning to heal. Day 92. Lessons in choice. We hold a meeting to reflect on what the past days have taught us. The purists voice their concerns about hybrid overreach. Bridge builders highlight the benefits of selective connectivity. I emphasize the principle that has kept us alive: choice. Every decision, from sharing thoughts to trusting actions, shapes our society. Without choice, neither silence nor connection has meaning. Even Leanne, once skeptical, nods quietly. Day 93. Personal bonds deepen amid reconstruction. Leanne and I steal a moment of privacy. Words are unnecessary. Gestures, glances, and presence convey more than telepathy ever could. Kale observes from a distance, understanding without interference. In a world where every mind can be exposed, privacy, intimacy, and trust are the most radical acts. Day 94. Testing. Permanent systems. We begin installing permanent hybrid nodes and reinforcing blackout zones. The purists volunteer to monitor and maintain blackout areas. Bridge builders calibrate the hybrid nodes for selective participation. The calm kingdom observes from afar, silently impressed. Even they seem to recognize that the Hollow's strength lies not in raw power, but in the careful balance of choice and trust. Day 95. Reflection at twilight. At sunset, I climb the ridge overlooking the Hollow with Kyle and Leanne. The settlement hums quietly, a living network of chosen connections and deliberate silences. I reflect on the past 95 days, sieges, internal divisions, love, trust, and the constant pressure of minds exposed. The Hollow survived because people chose to act with courage, respect, and care. Freedom is not merely surviving when every thought is exposed. It is choosing when to share, when to trust, and when to remain silent. Day 96100. The culmination of a mind-linked world. Day 96. The final adjustments. The Hollow has transformed into a hybrid society of silence and selective telepathy. Today is about fine-tuning. Purists inspect blackout zones, ensuring full security. Bridge builders adjust hybrid nodes, improving clarity and filtering emotional overflow. Every member participates voluntarily, choosing their role and level of engagement. I walk among the people witnessing quiet acts of courage and trust. A young recruit from the purist sector secretly delivers supplies to a hybrid-linked cluster, a silent rebellion turned alliance. It strikes me the Hollow has survived, not by force but by conscious choice. Day 97. Bonds. Solidified. Kale, Leanne, and I share a long conversation in private, reflecting on the journey. Words are minimal gestures, and understanding convey volumes. We acknowledge the delicate balance that has been achieved, the purest desire for silence, the bridge builder's embrace of connection, and the essential humanity that binds everyone together. Even amidst potential threats, we feel confident that trust and choice can guide us through future challenges. Day 98. External relations. The calm kingdom sends a final envoy cautiously approaching the Hollow. Unlike previous interactions today, they acknowledge the Hollow's autonomy fully. No telepathic probes, no demands. Just a conversation of equals. It is a subtle victory. The Hollow has established itself as a sovereign entity, respected even by those who once sought control. Day 99. Reflection and celebration. The community gathers for the first organized celebration since the beginning of the 100-day experiment. People from both factions share meals, repair nodes, and exchange smiles. Hybrid-linked clusters hum gently while blackout zones remain respected. I sit with KL and Leanne, silently absorbing the moment. 100 days of chaos, growth, conflict, and trust have culminated in a fragile but enduring harmony. Even in a world where minds are visible, the courage to choose, the patience to trust, and the love to connect forge true freedom. Day 100. A new dawn. The first sunrise of the 100th day illuminates the Hollow. The settlement stands resilient. Hybrid systems and blackout zones coexist peacefully. Purists and bridge builders have learned the value of balance, and personal bonds have grown stronger through adversity. I look at Leanne and KL, feeling gratitude for the journey we've endured together. For the first time, silence and thought coexist, not as opposing forces, but as complementary elements of a conscious society. When every mind can be read, the ultimate power lies in the choices we make, what we reveal, what we protect, and how we love. The Hollow endures. Minds are open, hearts are guarded, and the world, once chaotic with exposed thoughts, has found a fragile, remarkable harmony.